Close the doors of your mind from all carnal will, all carnal thought, all emotions, all desires, all fears, all laziness, all doubt. Anything in the center of your mind, in the center of your body, within your 12 cranial nerves, within your 12 melanin centers, within your hands and your feet that control the rest of your body, your organs, within your cells, your cell membranes, within your thoughts, within your consciousness, within your inner man and your inner thoughts, and your inner being and your inner emotions. And bring them to subjection unto the highest order of the Yahushua Mashiach, who sits in the highest Shamayim above the 7 heavens, above the Shabba'i Shamayim, above the 13 Shamayim, with his father Yahuwah Elohim, and his Ben Yahusha sitting at his right hand till he make all enemies under his feet. And one is in one mind, he's on the throne in your mind. And if one is not, doesn't have the mind of the Koros, and all the other spirits in the Shadim that refuse to be in subjection to the highest order, one's mind will be in subjection and bring all things and all beings and all spirits under their feet. And as Yahuwah's bride, you will be, in a inheritance position. For today is the day of freedom. Today is the day of one. Today is the day that Yahuwah has given to us as a Natan, a gift to us, that we may live according to his Debar, his commandments, his laws, his Pakud, his statutes, his Kuka, his knowledge and understanding, his Binah Hakmah Da'af, within our inner man, our inner thoughts, that our crown may be crowned with steadfast love continually. So this year we acknowledge the one who made everything on the earth, all the heart and the mountains and the streams and the rivers and the well water and the well rivers under the earth. The one who gives us living water that flows from our inner being and our belly and our thoughts and our mind, that we may be trees planted by rivers of living water in our heart and our mind, that we may yield forth and bring forth fruit continually. For this is the Yahuwah's fruit, not our fruit. For our fruit have been corruption since the beginning, since the time that we left and Adam was disobeyed his father, and we inherited his DNA, his thought process. So we must bring it into subjection to Yahuwah Elohim through his Debar, and that's the only way we can bring it into subjection. We can't bring it into subjection by our own will, our own thoughts, our own mind, and our own understanding. Because if we do these things, we'll find ourselves in the same pattern, even as it was in the beginning. So as we move forward, we'll move forward in kindness, ahab, joy, peace, patience, meekness, temperance, and munah. But we in no wise clear the guilty. We will in no wise clear the guilty, not within ourselves and for others. Right? So this is the book of First Esdras. This is the book of First Esdras. First Esdras chapter 1. First Esdras chapter 1. First Esdras chapter 1, verse 25. First Esdras chapter 1, verse 25. It says, and now after these acts of Josiah, it says, it came to pass that Pharaoh, the king of Mizraim, came to raise war against Carachemides upon Euphrates, and Josiah went out against him. But the king of Mizraim sent to him, saying, what have I to do with thee, O king of Judea, of Yehuda? I am not sent out. I am not sent out from Yahuwah Elohim against thee. Right? So you look at all the things that happen in the world. You look at people who come against you. You look at people, things that come against you, and he's like, Yahuwah didn't send me against you. Right? You'd be thinking like, why things are coming at me? Because Yahuwah sent them against you. And he says, why? For my war is upon Euphrates, and now Yahuwah is with me. So Yahuwah is with him. And he's like, get out of the way. Why are you coming up against me? Because he's in Mizraim, and so are you. And he's like, why are you coming against me? Why are you fighting me? And he says, Yahuwah is with me, hasting me forward. He's hasting me forward. He says, so why are you getting in the way? Depart from me and be not against Yahuwah. And that's what happens. Because a lot of people get in the way of things, and they be wondering why Yahuwah does things to you. He's saying, because you're in the way. Just like the children of Yahshua, he said he's going to remove all obstacles from their face. Why? Because you're in the way. Why? Because you're in the way. You're trying to stop something that you cannot stop. And get what he says. And he says right here, he said, be not against Yahuwah. Howbeit, Josiah did not turn back his chariot from him. He would not stop. Even though he heard the man say, I'm anointed. Yahuwah sent me to fight against these people, and you're coming to try to stop me. And he's hasting me forward. So you think about when Yahuwah is pushing you forward. He's telling you to go forward. Just like he told the children of Israel, go forward. He's behind you, pushing you forward. He's pushing you. Just like running a marathon. He's pushing you forward because you want to quit. And he's pushing you forward. He's like, anybody that gets in your way, they don't know what's pushing you forward. He's pushing me forward. And it says right here, and it says, howbeit Josiah did not turn back from his chariot from him. He undertook to fight with him, not regarding the words that the Nabi Yirmiyahu spoken by the mouth of Yahuwah. He's like, you're not even thinking right now. He ain't even thinking about the bar that's already been spoken. And he's not even thinking, what are you doing? Don't you remember the words that were spoken? And you think about how many times we done did something, and you not even know the word already been spoken. So why are you trying to get in the way of it? Why are you trying to stop it? He said, you're in the way. And it says, because you got to be reminded. He said, I'm stirring up your pure minds by way of remembrance that you might be mindful of the words spoken by Yirmiyahu. That's literally what he's doing. And it says, but get what he did. But joined to battle with him in the plain of Megiddo. So he started fighting. Not being mindful of the word, the bar that's already been written. And that's what you got to understand. This is why you have to know the Torah. You got to know what's written. Why? Because you're going to end up being in a situation where you got to remember, and you be like, that's not my fight. Because how the scripture going to be fulfilled? How is it going to be fulfilled? If you start fighting you be fighting against Yahuwah himself. And that's a bad situation. And let's see what happened to him. And it says right here, and it says, then he said he to the king, here we go, howbeit Josiah did not return back from him, his chariot from him, but undertook to fight with him, not regarding the words of the prophet Nabi Yirmiyahu by the mouth of Yahuwah, but joined battle with him in the plain of Megiddo. And the princes came against King Josiah. Then said the king unto his servants, carry me out of the battle, for I am very weak. And immediately his servants took him away out of the battle. He's like, I got my behind beat down because I wasn't really taking heed to the bar. And whose fault that is? That's his fault. It's like when you don't heed the bar and something happened to you, that's your fault. It ain't got nothing to do with me. Like he says, it ain't got nothing to do with me. It's yourself, right? And it says right here, it says verse 10 says, 31 says, then gat he upon his second chariot, and being brought back to Jerusalem, died, and was buried with his father's sepulchre. That was going to happen to you. He said, be not against Yahuwah, for Yahuwah has anointed me. Matter of fact, he pushing me forward. And the worst thing you can do is get in the way. Right? So this is the book of Acts. Book of Acts. The book of Acts, chapter 5, verse 30. Actually, Acts chapter 5, 27. Acts chapter 5, verse 27. It says, and when they had brought them, they set them before the council. And the high Kahan questioned them, saying, we strictly charge you not to teach in this name. Yet here you have filled Jerusalem with your teaching, and you intend to bring this man's blood upon us. Why? Because somebody ready to die. He's like, look at here, somebody died, and somebody got to pay for it. And guess what he said? You're looking to bring all this blood on us. But Qahalath and the Shalakim answered, we must obey Yahuwah rather than men. Why do you think that man said, Yahuwah is pushing me forward? He said, you be not against Yahuwah. He pushing me forward. What you in the way for? And he said right here, but Qahalath and the Shalakim answered, we must obey Yahuwah rather than men. Even people who don't even believe and know it, but they sent by Yahuwah, the evil spirit coming to kill somebody else, but you in the way. And he said, meddle not in the quarrel, not your own. He said, you could take a dog by its ears, and you see what happened to him. And then he said, we must obey Elohim rather than men. And Elohim of our fathers raised Yahushua, whom you killed by hanging him on a tree. Elohim exalted him at his right hand as a leader and a savior, Aydah, to give repentance to Yasharal and forgiveness of sins. To give repentance to who? To Yasharal. And forgiveness of sins to Yasharal. And get what it says. And we are witnesses of these things. And so is the Kudash Ruach. That's why you need to get out the way. Because the Ruach has loving, caring mode. Ruach has compassionate and mercy mode. The Ruach has loving kindness mode. But also the Ruach has death and destruction mode. The mode where you start to see it has strength mode. It has, you can speak things and people just die type mode. You gotta understand the actual modes of it. It has buttons. You press it, it's gonna do something else. And you don't want that to happen. And it says right here, so is the Ruach Kadash, whom Yahuwah has given to those who obey him. Why do you think that man was, he sent, why do you think the king of Mizraim, why do you think he came to fight Mizraim? He was like, what you in the way for? Yahuwah was like, I put my Ruach on it, it's gonna stay on until he finished. When he kill everybody, he gonna get off. But he's like, hey, you better get out the way. And get what he said. Verse 33 says, when they heard this, they were enraged and wanted to kill him. Why would you want to kill somebody who told you to get out the way? They enraged because they just got convicted saying, hey, you were the one who killed Yahushua. You know that, right? You know he only did that to give you forgiveness of sins. And they still mad. Verse 34, still upset. Verse 34 says, but a Pharisee of the council named Gamaliel, a teacher of the Torah, held in honor by all people, stood up and gave orders to put the men outside for a little while. And he said to them, men of Yasharal, take care what you are about to do to these men. For before these days Thaddeus rose up claiming to be somebody, and a number of men, about 400, joined him. He was killed, and all who followed him were dispersed and came to nothing. And after Judas, the Galilean, rose up in the days of the census and drew away some of the people after him. He too perished, and all who followed him were scattered. So in this present case, I tell you, keep away from these men and let them alone. For if this plan or this undertaking is of man, it will fail. He's like, it's going to fail. But guess what happened? But if it is of Yahuwah, you will not be able to overthrow them. Why do you think that king died? He's like, you see me? Get out of my way. For Yahuwah sent me. And guess what he would not do? Even though he knew the words spoken by Jeremiah, he would not get out of the way. And it says right here, we're scattered. So in this present time, I tell you, keep away from these men and let them alone. For if this plan undertaking be of man, it will fail. But if it is of Yahuwah Elohim, you will not be able to overthrow it. You might even be found opposing Yahuwah. So they took his advice. They got out the way, right? All these are a part of it. All these are a part of it, right? So this is 2nd Enoch. This is 2nd Enoch, 2nd Hanuk, or Ba'ith Hanuk, 2nd Enoch, Pseudepigrapha, Volume 1, Chapter 10, verse 1. It says, and here they show Hanuk the frightful place in various tortures. And those men carried me to the northern region. And they showed me there very frightful place of all kinds of tortures and torments are in that place. Cruel darkness and lightness, gloom. And there is no light there. I mean, ain't no sun, ain't no ore, ain't no illumination. And a black fire blazes up perpetually, it's continually, with a river of fire that comes out over the whole place. Fire here, freezing ice there. So you got fire there and freezing ice there. And it dries up and it freezes. And very cruel places of detention and dark and merciless malakim carrying instruments of atrocities, torturings without pity. And I said, whoa, whoa, how very frightful this place is. And those men said to me, this place, Hanuk, has been prepared for those who do not glorify Kabod Yahuwah Elohim. He said, it's there for him. Who? Those who don't glorify Kabod Elohim, who practice on the earth the sin which is against nature. which is child corruption in the anus of a manner of Sodom, of witchcraft, enchantments, divinations, trafficking with demons. What else? Who boast about evil deeds, stealing, lying, insulting, coveting, resentment, fornication, murder, and who steals the souls of men secretly, seizing the poor by the throat, taking away their possessions, enriching themselves with the possessions of others, defrauding them, who when they are able to provide sustenance, bring about the death of the hungry by starvation, and when they are able to provide clothing, take away the last garment of the naked, who do not acknowledge their Creator, but bow down to idols, which have no souls, who can neither see nor hear, vain gods, constructing images, and bowing down to vile things made by hands. For all these, this place has been prepared as an eternal reward. So you look at all these things that we read about, and we can read it over and over again, but then you see all of these things happening in the world today. Majority of these things are happening right now as I'm speaking right now. And every single one of these people, he said, this is your eternal reward. Unmerciful, pity, malakim that will torture you in the next life. As long as one continues to prescribe and practice these things. Right, so this is the book of Galatians. Right, so we look at, now actually let's go to the book of Acts, or Psalms, chapter 19, verse 1. Psalms 19 and 1. It says, Psalms 19 and 1. It says, the Shammai declare the kabod of Elohim, and the sky above proclaims his handiwork. It's Psalms 19 and 1. Day to day he pours out his speech, and night to night he reveals his knowledge. There is no speech, nor are there words whose voice is not heard. Right? So any words you speak, he said, who hears everything. Their voice goes out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them he has set a Ahal, a tent for the sun. In them, a place for the sun to dwell, which comes out like a bridegroom leaving his chamber, and like a strong man runs his course with joy. It rising is from the end of Shammaims, and its circuit to the end of them. And there is nothing hidden, how you say, from its heat, from the heat, from the fire. Right, so this is Psalms, actually Proverbs 6:26 and 21. Proverbs 6:21. Proverbs 6:21. Proverbs 6:21. Proverbs 6:21, and it's actually 6 and 20. It says, my son, that's Adam, keep your father's commandment, and forsake not your mother's teaching. Right? So you look at father and mother, right? Just like a household, a functioning household. When your father and mother give you instructions, do not go opposite. But it says right here, bind them around your heart always, tie them around your neck. Tie them around your neck. When you walk, they will lead you. They're going to what? They're going to lead you. When you lie down, they will watch over you. And when you awake, they will talk with you. Right? So you can say, I want some good thoughts. Just listen to this. For the commandment is the Torah. The commandment is the lamp, the near, and the teaching is the light. The Torah is the light. Instructions is the light. And reproofs and discipline is a way of life. It's a way of life for what? To preserve you from the evil woman with the smooth tongue and the adulteress. Right, so going back to 2nd Enoch. 2nd Enoch. 2nd Enoch. 2nd Enoch. 2nd Enoch. Sorry. Yeah. 2nd Enoch chapter 30. 2nd Enoch chapter 30. Let's go to verse. 2nd Enoch chapter 30. Pseudepigrapha, volume 1. chapter 30, verse 1. Let's say 30. Yeah, 30. It says, on the third day I commanded the earth to make trees grow. So you look at the trees growing on the third day. It's not even, he said the sun was made on the fourth day. So how is he making the trees grow without the sun and things of that sort? How is he doing that? And it says, large and fruit bearing. It says, and on the third day I commanded the earth to make trees grow, large and fruit bearing, in the mountains, and all kinds of sweet grass, and of all kinds sown seed. And I laid out paradise as a garden. So you look at all of the rain and snow and all the grass that he sown, and everything he did on the third day. And he said, I couched paradise as a garden. I made a paradise. You know what happened? And I enclosed it, and I placed armed guards, malakim, aflame with fire. He said, I put armed guards. He said, I made a whole kingdom, and I put armed guards around this malakim, around this garden. And thus I created the renewal of the earth. I created the renewal of the earth. And then evening came and morning came the fourth day. He said, I created the renewal of the earth. Right, so this is the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah, chapter 66. Isaiah 66. Yeshayahu 66. Yeshayahu 66. And let's see. Yeah, so let's go to Yeshayahu. Yeah, Yeshayahu 66 and 20, 66 and 20. And it says, and they shall bring all your brothers from all nations as an offering to Yahuwah on the horses and the chariots and litters and on mules and dromedaries to Makudash mountain, Jerusalem, says Yahuwah of hosts. As the Yasharal bring their grain offering in clean vessels to the house of Yahuwah. And some of them also I will take for priests and for Kahan, or it's a Levites, Louis, said Yahuwah. For as the new Shama'ims and new earth that I make shall remain before me, said Yahuwah, so shall your offspring and your name remain. Right? He made a whole new earth. He says what? Going back to 2 Enoch chapter 30. And it says, and thus I created a renewal of the earth. He said, I made a renewal of the earth. I created a whole new place. I put new grass, large fruits, trees to grow on the mountainside. On the mountain. Right? So this is the book of this book of Yeshayahu. Oh, actually, no. Psalms 147. Psalms 147 and 12. Psalms 147 and 12. Psalms Tahalim 147 and 12. And it says, praise Yahuwah, O Jerusalem. Praise your Elohim, O Saun. That's the parched place. For he strengthens the bars of your gates and baraks your children within you. So you think about your children being within your gates, within your house, within your household, within your gates of your house. And they're in your house, and you have to take care of those children, both male and female. Men servants, maid servants, everybody you got to take care of. And they within your gates. If they ain't within your gates, ain't no way you can take care of them. And get what it says. It says, praise Yahuwah, O Jerusalem. Praise your Elohim, O Saun. For he strengthens the bars of your gates. Why? You need your bar. You need that thing protected. Because you know what he did when he made his new paradise? He put armed guards, malakim, around it. And said, he baraks your children within you. He makes peace, shalom, in your borders, because Jerusalem is the city of peace, the teachings of peace. He fills you with the finest of wheat. He fills you with the finest of wheat. We just read in Enoch, he made all the trees and the fruits grow. He renewed his earth. He renewed it. He said, I renewed the earth. I give you the finest wheat. What you need wheat for? To grow grain, to grow crops, to grow wheat, so you can make bread. And what the bread supposed to be for? So you can eat. And get what it says. Verse 15 says, he sends out his commandment to the earth, and his word runs swiftly. And get what it is? He gives snow like wool. He scatters frost like ashes. And guess what he does? He hurls down his crystals of ice like crumbs. Who can stand before his cold? He sends out his debar and he melts them. Because who can hide from his heat? Because you need that. And get what it says? He makes his wind blow and his waters flow. He said, I do that. I make the waters flow. Yeah, I make the waters flow by melting the ice, or like a glacier being melted, or like snow being melted, and I make the waters flow. And he declares his word to Yaakov, his statutes and rules to Yasharal. He has not dealt thus with any other nation. I renew my garden. I renew the earth. As a new Shamayim and a new earth before me, I'll make a new heaven and a new Shamayim and a new earth. And guess what it says? And he has not dealt with any other nation. Because of what? What the nations know? The nations do not know his rules. Praise Yahuwah. Why do you think we read in Enoch? All the things they did in the eternal torment. Everything they were going to get into eternal torment. He's like, you see these Malachim? He put them in eternal torment, and then he put Malachim as armed guards to keep them in there. Then he had made a whole kingdom, a whole renewed earth, and he put Malachim. He got Malachim and armed guards there. And you can't see him unless you're in your celestial state of mind. Because when Adam fell, he realized, I can't see you like I used to see you when I was in my other nature. Because when you're in your flesh, it's a different type of understanding. When you're in your celestial nature, but then you'll see the Malachim. You be like, let me get out your way. Let me get out your way. Then your discernment come back. It took Balaam to get hit the dark, broke his leg, broke everything, just wanted to see the Malachim. He like, man, there's a Malachim, an armed guard in the way. He's like, yep. Right? It took 100 blows, right? A bunch of blows to get him to realize that. Right, so this is, right, so you got that, and you see all this stuff, right? But then you go right here, you go to the book of Revelations, Kazum. Going to the book of Revelations, Kazum. Revelations. Right, so this is the book of Revelations, Kazum. Revelations 21, Kazum, Revelations 21 and 1. Then I saw a new Shamayim and a new earth, right? Because he renewed his earth. And he planted all types of fruits and grass and trees and sown large fruits and trees that grow, bearing fruit on the mountains. Why he put it all on the mountaintop. And it says, and the first Shamayim and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the Qahalath city, New Jerusalem, because that's where he put Jerusalem in. He said, rejoice, O Jerusalem, and I'll make your bars strong, your children within going to be protected, and I'm going to give you the finest wheat. For the first Shamayim and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the Qahalath city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of Shamayim from Elohim, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, behold, the dwelling place of Elohim is with man. The dwelling place where the gods are is on earth with man. The Yahushua said, is it not written in your Torah, I said you are gods, you are Elohim? And if he called you Elohim, in whom the word of Yahuwah came, then the Torah cannot be broken. Just like when he said in Psalms 82, I judge in the midst of the gods. It said, because he said he showed his statutes and judgments to Yasharal, his mishpat. His judgments are to the gods. He shows it to them. Because the only way you're going to judge another god, you can't judge these gods unless you are God. You can't even judge Malachim, because Malachim are Elohims, unless you are Elohim. And if you don't believe you're an Elohim, then you ain't, how you say, you have not yet learned Mashiach. But it says right here, this is the book of Dabarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 1. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1. And when all these things, he said, when all these things come upon you, the barak and the curse, which I have set before you. We talked about last week how Enoch told you in your afflictions walk, in your faith walk, in your assaults walk. Because you get cursed and you get barak. He said, walk in all of it. Which I have set before you, and you call them to mind among all the goyim of the nations where Yahuwah Elohim has driven you, and return to Yahuwah your Elohim, you and your children, because that's what he just read in Psalms 147. He said, your children within your gates, and your bars are strong. I'm giving you the finest wheat, you and your children, and obey his voice. Because why you need children? Because the children are going to hear you and obey you and do what you said, and then they're going to continue on what you just said and practice in front of them. And get what it says, and return to Yahuwah your Elohim, you and your children, obey his voice, his call, his thunder, in all that I command you today, with all your heart and with all your soul. Then Yahuwah your Elohim will restore your fortunes. People say, I want my fortunes back. This ain't Wheel of Fortune. He's saying, I want my fortunes back. We ain't talking about fortune telling. And this is right here. So that word for this Devarim chapter 30, the word for Devarim chapter 30 verse 3, Devarim chapter 30 verse 3, Deuteronomy chapter 30 verse 3, that word for fortunes is Devarim chapter 30 verse 3, that word for fortunes, this is right here in gather these. Yeah, he's gonna. It says right here. Let's see, Devarim chapter 30 verse 3, and Yahuwah your only roost. Okay, yeah. So it's 30 verse 3. It says the word for. He said he gonna. That word for restore. He says restore. He's gonna turn. He's gonna shoot. He's gonna restore. He's gonna turn back. Right? He's gonna start turning. He's gonna turn back your captivity, your shabuth, your exile. He's gonna start turning back your exile, a former state, figuratively your posterity or your prosperity. I'm gonna restore your fortunes. I'm going to shoot shabuth. I'm going to turn back turn back your prosperity. I'm gonna give it back to you. I'm going to restore your fortunes by turning you back. And I'm going to have compassion on you. I'm going to have rakam on you. Right? So we're going back to 30 and 3, and it says, then Yahuwah your Elohim will restore or shoot your fortunes, your shabuth, your prosperity. Why? Because you did it with all your soul, and have mercy on you. Because remember what we talked about. And he will gather you again from all peoples where Yahuwah your Elohim has scattered you. Just like a farmer scatters seeds. If your outcasts are in the uttermost parts of Shamayim, from there Yahuwah your Elohim will gather you, and from there he will take you, and Yahuwah your Elohim will bring you into the land your fathers possessed, that you may possess it. Right? So, and so why would he do that? Because he has to. Right? Because he can't bring you into a place if you don't return with your whole heart. Why would a father give a son an inheritance if he doesn't know and he trained properly to take care of his land? I can't put you in charge of that. I created a renewed earth, as Enoch said, and I'm gonna put you in charge of it again, and you're not trained properly to even take care of the things that I pretty much want to put in your hands. You'll destroy everything again. So therefore, I have to train you properly in order for you to do that properly. Right, so this is the book of Acts, and the Nazarene Acts of the Apostles, Nazarene Acts of the Shalakim, Nazarene Acts of the Apostles, Nazarene Acts of the Apostles, page Recognitions of Clement, page 65. Page 65, chapter 21, Righteousness, the Way of the King. It says, for if we occupy the short time of this life with vain and useless questions, we will without doubt go into the presence of Yahuwah empty and void of good works, right? People ask all these questions. He say, got all these questions. He's like, if you keep doing that, you'll never actually do anything. Question, I got another question. He said, okay, when are you going to actually put it into practice? And it says, questions, we will without doubt go into the presence of Yahuwah empty and void of good works, because this life is short. The next life is eternal. As we just talked about eternal damnation, eternal punishment. And get what it says, void of good works. When, as I have said, our works will be brought into judgment. Who he judged in the midst of? He judged in the midst of the gods. He gave his judgment to Yasharal, to Yaakov. He's going to judge you. Right? Because he showed us his judgments. For everything has its own time and place. This is the place. He said, this is the place. This, the time of works. The world to come. The renewed earth. Because it's coming. It says what? The time to come. That of recompenses, right? It says that we may not therefore be entangled by changing the order of places and times. Let us inquire in the first place, what is the righteousness of Yahuwah? So that like persons going to set out on a journey, we may be filled with good works as with abundant provisions, so that we may be able to come to the kingdom, the Malkuth of Yahuwah, as to a very great city. That city, a renewed city, a prepared city, a prepared place. The tabernacle of Yahuwah is with men. The way the gods are, he said, it's down here. Verse says, for those who think, all right, Yahuwah is manifest, even by the operations of the world that he has made, using the evidence of his creation. You can see it. You can see it outside. You can see it in your yard. You can see it on the ground. You can see an insect, an ant crawling, you throw it off. There's evidence everywhere. He said, I ain't got no evidence. You can see it, look around. It's evidence everywhere. The sun shines every day. People jump in the ocean every day. People look at the waters every day. People look at the streams every day. There's evidence everywhere. You don't need no moon. You can see that. And it says right here, it says, using the evidence of his creation, and therefore, since there ought to be no doubt, like how can you still doubt after all that? No doubt about Yahuwah, we have now to inquire only about his righteousness and his kingdom. That's the only thing. You got all the evidence you know. He said, I already know he exists. Look around. Only thing I need to inquire about, what is righteousness? And this is our righteousness, that we keep his commandments. Read 6:23. 6:23 through 25. And righteousness is righteous forever, and his Turah is the truth. This is our righteousness, that we keep his commandments. Abraham kept his commandments. 6 days you labor, 7th you rest. Thou shalt not steal, kill. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt not love thy neighbor as thyself. Right? All these are all part of it. It says, we have now to inquire of his righteousness and his malkuth. But if our mind suggests to us to make any inquiry concerning secret and hidden things before we inquire into the works of righteousness. He said, why you need to know righteousness first? Why you need to know the Mount Kingdom, about the kingdom and righteousness first? Because you need to do that before you need to learn about some hidden stuff, some things that are hidden. Because that's the starting point. And it says, concerning the secret things before we inquire into the works of righteousness, we ought to render to ourselves a reason. Because if acting well, we will merit to obtain salvation. We won't even get it. Then going to Yahuwah chaste and clean, we will be filled with the Ruach Hadash. We're going to be filled with the Ruach Hadash if we do this. It says, and will know all things that are secret and hidden, without any cavilling of questions. Because if you just keep righteousness, and he says, strive and stay in the Malkuth, he says, all hidden things will be revealed to you. You ever planted something in the garden, and then it starts to rain, and then other stuff starts springing up, you be like, where did this stuff come from? It's because you dwell in righteousness and things just start revealing to you. That's what happens when you just keep doing it over and over again. 6 days you labor, 70 rest. 6 days you labor, 70 rest. 6 days you labor, 70 rest. You always find more knowledge. It says, and you will know all things and all secrets and hidden, without any cavilling of questions. Whereas now, even if anyone should spend the whole of his life in inquiring into these things, he not only will not be able to find them, but will involve himself in greater error. Right? He said, you're going to be so searching out these hidden things of the world like you people see today. They're doing so much stuff, searching out all these things, the Rakia, the firmament, Venus, Mercury, Mars, Venus, going into the center, going all over the place, and they haven't even inquired of righteousness in the kingdom yet. You know why they're doing it? Because those things exist. So please don't be thinking like, oh, they're searching out all these hidden things in the earth and these secrets. You think these things don't exist. No, they think they exist. Because if it didn't exist, then Yahuwah wouldn't exist. You see everything he has, they exist. So if those things exist, and those hidden things they're searching out exist, but they don't require righteousness, and they don't inquire of the kingdom, then what happens? All that's for nothing. I found the hidden cavern that leads to the center of the earth, and I found it. I seen all the animals, and they didn't look like nothing on the surface. Okay, did you inquire of the kingdom and righteousness in the kingdom? No. I built a ship to go to Mars, and I surfed, and I scoured the galaxy and the cosmos, and I built a rocket, and then you don't inquire of righteousness in the kingdom. I searched out all these secret societies and all the things that's out here, and all the weird things. He said, okay, but you didn't search out, what about righteousness in the kingdom? You got all these questions about everything in the world, but he said, what about righteousness in the kingdom? The Malkut. And it says right here, if anyone should spend his whole life in inquiring into these things, he will not only will not be able to find them, but will involve himself in greater errors, because he did not first enter through the way of righteousness. It's because righteousness is your foundation. The kingdom is your foundation. All the other stuff, you'll find all that out. It'll be built right on the foundation. You'll be able to hold it all up. You'll be like, okay, I know about that. You'll be like Yahuwah. I got all this righteousness in my foundation. Righteousness is righteous forever. The Torah is the truth. All this is my foundation. So everything else I learned, I already know. Boom, 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 boom. I already know. This is all a part of his Malkut, his kingdom. As I live in the kingdom. As I live in righteousness. So I can know about all the things in the center of the earth and the cosmos and everything like that, all under the ground, all throughout the worlds and everything, the worlds and the realms and the other worlds and the other worlds and the underworld. I can know about that. Why? Because he's a firm foundation. But if you ain't got that, then guess what you're going to have? You're going to have all these behaviors that you see in 2nd Enoch when he said they're going to be in eternal damnation. While you're searching out all those things. It says, and strive, get what it says, because he did not first enter through the way of righteousness, and strive to reach the haven of life. So this is the book of, let me get into it. This is right here. This is the book of, Matthew chapter 6. Matthew chapter 6, verse 29. Matthew chapter 6, verse 29. He said, yet I tell you, even Shalomo in all his kabod was not arrayed like one of these. Solomon was one of the wisest men on earth. But what did he have? What did he have that these people seeking out? They seeking out all this, the knowledge of Shalomo. But what did Shalomo have? He had the righteousness. And guess what happened? He said, Shalomo in all his kabod was not arrayed like one of these. But if Elohim so clothed the grass of the field, which today is alive and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not more so clothe you, O ye of little Munah? Therefore, do not be anxious, saying, what shall we eat? And what shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? Them all, you notice they got all what at the end of it? Question marks. He's like, you got all these questions. You got a lot of questions right here. And he says, for the Goyim seek after all these things. He said they don't seek after righteousness. They don't seek about the kingdom. And go what he said. For the Gentiles seek after all these things, and your heavenly Father, Abba, knows that you need of them. He said, you know all your questions. He'd be like, Father, what is this? Have you pursued righteousness yet in the kingdom? I can tell you about it. I can't tell you about it until you do that. And it says, but seek ye first the kingdom, and Yahuwah Elohim and his righteousness. And all these things will be added to you. All the hidden things, all the things you don't know, everything you want to understand, all the things you want to get inside of your mind. He said, man, all of it will come to you. And all these things will be added to you. Even the wealth and the riches and the fortunes. When you bethink yourself, when I bring you back, all your wealth and your fortunes will be returned to you. All your knowledge and wisdom and understanding will return to you. Everything will be given back to you. And you will have it all back. Therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. He said, you think about tomorrow, you think about how many thoughts you have in one day. You think about the thoughts. If you start thinking about tomorrow, you stacking thoughts on top of them thoughts. That's too much to think about. By the time you finish thinking, just like we just read in the Regulations and Clement, by the time you finish thinking, the whole day been gone. And by the time you finish, you ain't did nothing. He said, man, you ain't had no good works. For tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient is the day is the trouble. So this is, he said, what you worried about? This is it. This is the book of, same book. I think it's the same book. Same book. Matthew 10:25. Matthew 10:25. Matthew 10:25. A disciple is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. It's enough for the disciple to be as his teacher, and his servant like his master. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, we know about Beelzebub, so you basically just said that this man is a pile of dung on the ground. So you saying that about Yahushua Mashiach, and people be saying he cast out spirits by Beelzebub. Are you serious? Do you know what you just said to him? He said, man, you just gave me the ultimate insult. You just said that I'm just like the piece of trash on the ground that people put dung on top of, or doo-doo. You saying I'm like that? Are you serious? He said, how much more will they malign those of the household? He said, man, they called me a piece of dung, a doo-doo on the ground. What make you think what do you think they're gonna say about you? They're gonna say the same thing. You full of shit, but it's really shitterwood, but you wouldn't know that. Because you say you haven't sought the first Malkuth, and it will be added to you. You wouldn't even know it. But he says, he said, they call me that. So what make you think they're gonna call you something? They're gonna call you something that's better than that? They're gonna say the same thing about you. You get what it says? So have no fear of them, for nothing is covered that will not be revealed, nor hidden that will not be known. Why? Because they are righteousness. They're seeking first the kingdom. And guess what? All these things will be added to you. You're going to know about everything. Because them people that's calling me saying like that, they'll never find it. Matter of fact, they're going to always be in their sin. And matter of fact, when they get to the eternal judgment, they're going to realize, I ain't got no good works. We call Mashiach a piece of doo-doo on the ground. Something that goes on the ground. What I tell you in the dark, say in the light, and what you hear in whisper, proclaim on the housetops. Right. So going to Proverbs chapter 9. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 1. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 1. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 1. It says, wisdom has built her house. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 1. She has hewn her 7 pillars, right? We know there's 7 pillars. He says 7 pillars, right? So we're going Proverbs chapter 9, that word for pillars. In Proverbs chapter 9, that word for pillars Proverbs chapter 9, verse 1, that word for pillars is he set himself out 7 amud. Amud. He set out 7 pillars as standing as a stand, a platform. 7 pillars and amud, right? So we're going to this book of First Maccabees. I think it's First Maccabees. First Maccabees chapter 13. First Maccabees chapter 13, verse 20. First Maccabees chapter 13. First Maccabees chapter 13. First Maccabees chapter 13. Verse 20. Yeah, so First Maccabees chapter 13, verse 20. So here we go. 13, verse 20. So here we go. And after this came Tirphon to invade the land and destroy it, going round about by the way that leadeth to Adorah. But Simon and his host marched against him in every place, wheresoever he went. Now when they were in the tower, sent messengers to Tirphon to the end that he should hasten his coming upon them by the wilderness, and sent them victuals. Wherefore Tirphon made ready all his horsemen to come that night. But there fell a very great snow. Oh, so a very what? Great snow. As rain and snow come down from Shamayim, so did the Barbie that goes on our mouth. He said he sent his ice like icicle. He sent out his ice. He said, who can stand before his cold? And it says by reason whereof he came not. Why? Because Yahuwah sent snow down. He was saying, what purpose is this white stuff that be coming on the ground? Sometimes it stop a battle. Sometimes it stop people from coming in your life. You be like, somebody coming to visit me, then Yahuwah sent a rainstorm. Oh, my flight got canceled, and you were dreading the whole visit. Oh, the car got stuck. Right, nothing just happens. By reason whereof he came not. Nothing happens for a reason. That's basically what it's saying. So he departed and came into the country of Qahalath. And when he came near to Baskamah, he slew Jonathan, who was buried there. Right, because somebody else got to die. It says, afterward, Tirphon returned and went into his own land. Right, so you see all that happening. A flight got his chariot got stuck. It snowed, he couldn't come. So it only happened to divert so somebody else could get taken out. Then he went back to his own country. And guess what happened? Then sent Simon and took the bones of Jonathan and his brother and buried them in Modin in the city of his fathers. And all Yasharal made great lamentation for him and bewailed him many days. And Simon also built a monument upon the sepulchre of his father and his brother, and raised a loft to the site with hewn stone built behind and before. Moreover, he set up what? He set up 7 pyramids, one against the other. He set up what? He set up 7 pyramids, one against the other, for his father, for his mother, and his brother. He set up 7 pyramids. He said, man, why he hewing out 7 pillars? He said, wisdom has built his house. He said, I built it. He said, wisdom has built his house. And he says, I hewed out 7 pillars. Why do you think he hewed out 7 pyramids? Why? And he went for his father, his mother, and his brother. Because wisdom built his house. Wisdom built his house. He said, why would he build 7 pyramids? Because we know that pyramid, when you look at the Daleth, it means door, entranceway, gateway. Daleth. And what do those Daleths represent? Gateways and doorways and entranceways. Into where? Where are those gateways and doorways and entranceways into? They were entranceways into something. And get what it says right here. And it says, moreover, set up 7 pyramids, one against the other, for his father, for his mother, and his 4 brothers. 4 brothers. Right? And it says right here, and in these he made cunning devices, about that which he set great pillars, and upon the great pillars he made all armor in perpetual memory. It says he made all their armor for a perpetual memory, and by the armor ships carved, that they might be seen of all that sail on the sea. People saying, we talked about the 7 pillars, the 7 stars. Matter of fact, we talked about the 7, he said, I'm going to make him out 7 virgins, it could be 7 pillars in the city of refuge. He said, he who holds the 7 stars in his right hand. And we know that the 7 stars is the whole kingdom, the whole Pleiadian star system, as Job talked about in the book, he talks about in 29, talking about Mazarin. And we talked about him putting these things down. Why he put them down? In memory of his family. For the fathers, the mothers, and his 4 brothers. And he made 7 pyramids to that. He said, why would he do that? And he said, so people can see it when they walk by, when they sail by. You see that? And guess what he says? This is the scepter which he made at Modin, and standeth ye unto this day. Now Typhoon dealt deceitfully with the young king at Tenakis and slew him, right? So he's still going around killing people, but still, he put those 7 pillars up for a reason, right? So this is the book of, for remembrance, right? So this is the book of, book of Bereshit, Genesis, chapter 28. Bereshit, Genesis chapter 28, verse 18. So early in the morning, Bereshit, Genesis 28, 18. Now, so early in the morning, Jacob took the stone that he had put under his head. That word for stone is a ben, Aleph, Ba'ith Nun, the Father and the Son, and he set it up for a pillar. He set the pillar up for what? A remembrance. He took the ben, the stone, the word for a stone is a ben, Aleph, Ba'ith Nun. And that stone, the Father and the Son, because it's Aleph and Ba'ith, the Son is Father, Ba'ith and Nun is Son. And he took that, and what did he do? And he put it on his head and set up a pillar for it and poured oil on top of it. That's when Yahushua was in his house and he poured alabaster box, he put the oil on top of his head. Because he was both the Father and the Son. He said, "I, my Father, are one." And guess what he said? And he called the name of that place Bethel, the house. Because wisdom has built his house. And he set up 7 pillars. And guess what? But the name of the city was called Luz at the first. Because he changed it. He's like, I'm going to call this. And then Yaakov made a vow saying, if Elohim will be with me. When did Yahuwah say if? The only reason, Yahuwah already told him before this, he said I was with you. But he said right here, and will keep me in the way that I go, and give me bread to eat, and clothing to wear. Isn't that what Yahushua just said? We just read it. We just read it. He said, if you seek you first the Malkuth, then all these things will be added to you. Seek ye the kingdom, and all these things will be added to you. All those secret things you want to know, and everything you want to comprehend. And it says, then Yaakov made a vow saying, give Allah, if Elohim will be with me and keep me in the way that I go, behold, I send a Malach to keep you in the way. Beware of him and obey his voice. For he will not pardon your iniquity, for my name is in him. The book of Exodus chapter 23 says, I believe. And it says, and will give me bread to eat and clothing to wear. And he said, I clothe the grass. What make y'all clothe you? I feed the animals. What make think y'all won't feed you? Why you doubting in your heart? Yahuwah's like, all right, you seeking first the Malkuth, but you doubting for it. And get what he says? So that I can come again in my Father's house in peace. You mean the city of peace, Jerusalem? Did I go there in peace? Did I meet him in peace? We just read about all the things we talked about in Galatia, the things that won't allow you to have peace. I warned you, as I warned you before, that they who do such things will not inherit the kingdom and won't have peace within. It says, then Yahuwah shall be my Elohim, and this stone, this Abin, which I have set up for a pillar, shall be the house, Elohim's house. He hewn out 7 pillars, right? And he says, and of all that you give me, I will give a full tenth to you. Because I'm going to give it all to you. I'm going to give it all to you. That's what people say. You know people say that? I'm going to give everything to you. You sure? Everybody say that, right? So this is the book of This is the book of sorry. Everybody says that. All right, so this is the book of this is the book of Matthew 19:13. Matthew 19:13. Matthew 19:13. It says, then children were brought to him that he might lay his hand on them and pray. And the disciples rebuked the people, but Yahushua said, let the children come to me, and do not hinder them, for to such belongs the kingdom of Shamayim. And he laid his hands on them and went away, and behold, a man came up to him, saying, teacher, what good deed must I do to inherit eternal life? Now he asking him, he inquired the kingdom. We just talked about it in Reckoning and Calamity. They're going to be seeking out these secret things, these hidden things, and by the time they figure it out, they ain't actually inquire righteousness in the kingdom. And he said to him, why do you ask what is good? There is only one who is good. Who is only good? The one who said everything was good and very good. For 6 days you labor and the 7th you rest. The one who made Adam good. The one who made Yahushua, who is good. There's only one who is good. If you would enter into life, keep the commandments. He said unto me, which ones? Yahushua said, you shall not murder. Go eat and drink and have a feast day. No. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness. Honor your father and your mother. And you shall love your neighbor as you love yourself. You got one Elohim. You don't make any other Elohim, any gods before me, because you wouldn't be inquiring of me if you did that. So let me tell you about these behavioral things that you can do. Because you ain't got no other gods before me, and you definitely don't hate me because you keep the commandments. And matter of fact, and you don't make any carved images. So why would I tell you about those? I'm going to tell you about the ones that men are tempted on every single day. And women. And children, and teenagers. And get what it says, and love your neighbor yourself. The young man said to him, all these I have kept. What do I lack? He like, man, I'm just seeking the kingdom of Yahuwah first. He said, what do I lack? Yahushua said to him, if you would be perfect, go and sell all you possess and give to the poor. And many said they will give, man, all the things Yahuwah give me, I'll give it all away. A lot of people say that. But that's just people talking. Just like you see, just like today. It says, the young man said to him, all these I have kept. What do I lack? Yahushua said to him, if you will be perfect, go sell all you possess and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in Shamayim, and come and follow me. And when the young man heard this, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. And Yahushua said to the disciples, truly I say to you, only with difficulty will a rich man enter the kingdom of Shamayim. Because he's wrestling. Well, he say difficulty, because he's wrestling with himself. Again, I tell you, it is easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of Shamayim. When the disciples heard this, they were astonished, saying, who can be saved? But Yahushua looked at them and said, with man this is impossible, but with Yahuwah Elohim all things are possible. Then Qahalath said in reply, see, we have left everything and followed you. What then will we have? Yahushua said, truly I say to you, in the new world, a renewed earth, We just read in 2nd Enoch, new Shamayim and new earth. In the renewed earth, when the son of Adam will sit at his glorious throne, that tabernacle of Yahuwah was with man, with human beings on earth. You who have followed me will sit on 12 thrones, 12 rays of light. The 12 stones or the 12 rays of light. I saw a woman clothed with the sun. And guess what happens? Judging the 12 tribes of Yasharal. Because he showed his judgments to who he showed his judgments to? To Yasharal. He has not dealt so with any other nation. He ain't dealt with any other nation. Who he gonna judge? The 12 rays of light gonna judge. I saw a woman clothed with the sun. Matter of fact, I saw it had 7 cities of refuge too. And 7 pyramids. Matter of fact, as Yeshayahu 11 says, I hit on my right hand, I hit it in the 7 streams, and they're gonna bring them out in sandals. Channels. And guess what it says right here? Truly I say to you, in the new world, when the son of Adam will be set in his glorious throne, you who follow me will also sit on the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Yasharal. And anyone who has left houses and brothers and sisters and fathers or mothers or children or lands for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold and will enter into eternal life. They're going to come in Jerusalem. They're going to come to Jerusalem to be judged. They're going to leave everything to come to hear that. And they're going to come to Jerusalem. And it says, but many who are first will be last, and the last first. Right, going to 2nd Maccabees. 2nd Maccabees. 2nd Maccabees. 2nd Maccabees chapter 7. 2nd Maccabees chapter 7. 2nd Maccabees chapter 7. Second Maccabees chapter 7. Second Maccabees chapter 7 and verse 1. 2nd Maccabees chapter 7 and verse 1. And it came to pass also that 7 brethren with their mother were taken. 7 brothers with their mother were taken. How many virgins did Asenah have? When she said she was going, I got 7 virgins. Barak me as you barak them. She had 7 virgins. She had 7 virgins and she had what? Herself. That's 8. So you had 7 brethren with their mother were taken. And guess what happened? And compelled by the king against the law to taste swine's flesh. So we know we ain't supposed to eat no swine. And were tormented with scourges and whips, because they were trying to get them to do something against Yahuwah Elohim, according to eating food. Now this is before Yahusha came on the scene. So all these animal sacrifices and all these things that you read that people were doing, and people stopped doing certain things and practices and eating certain things, wasn't taking place at that time. But here we go. Into verse 2 says, but one of them that spake first said thus, what would thou ask or learn from us? What you going to know? We are ready to die rather than to transgress the laws of Yahuwah our Elohim. What you need to teach you something? Because you sure don't know. Because you know why he don't know? Just like we read in the recognition of Clement, he inquiring all the secret and hidden things. He's like, you don't want to learn righteousness in the kingdom, what we don't do? And you know what he said? Verse 3 says, that then the king, being enraged, commanded pans and cauldrons to be made hot. Just like you see the people were hot when they were telling you want to kill Yahushua Mashiach when Qahalath was speaking. When Qahalath was speaking to Gamaliel in the council, they said what? He said, why are you doing this? Why are you speaking in this name? For you the one who hung Yahushua on the tree, on the cross. And they all got upset. And it says, then the king, being enraged, commanded pan and the cauldrons to be made hot, which forthwith being heated, he commanded to cut out the tongue of him that spake first. That's what they want to do. They want to stop his mouth. And cut off the uttermost parts of his body. The rest of his brother and his mother looking on. They tortured him right in their face. And when he was thus maimed, and all his members, he commanded him, being yet alive, to be brought into the fire and to be fried in the pan. He's like, man, he's gonna fry you in the pan. They're gonna cook you and eat human flesh, just like the Nephilim. He said, I'm gonna fry you in the pan. We cannibals. And as the vapor of the pan was of good space dispersed, they exhorted one another with the mother to die manfully. He said, die like a man. Saying thus, Yahuwah looketh upon us, and in the truth have comfort in us, as Mashah in his song, which witnessed to their faces, declared, saying, and he shall be comforted in his servants. Verse 7 says, so when the first was dead after this manner, so the first one died, right, that's one pillar dead, they brought the second to make him a mocking and a stop. And when they had pulled off the skin of his head with the hair, they asked him, wilt thou eat before thou be punished throughout every member of thy body? Verse 8 says, but he answered in his own language and said, Allah. Or no, because his own language are really lo, Allah. Wherefore he also received the next torment in order as the former did. So that he said the second pillar done got taken out. And when he was at the last gasp, he said, thou like a fury takest us out of this present life. But the King of the world shall raise us up, who have died for his Turah unto everlasting life. Right, so you see all these things, they're being tormented. They're having so many things transpiring. You got the mother and her seven sons being tormented by this king because he's trying to get them to transgress the Torah and trying to get them to go against the Torah. Right? Going to verse 9, it says former did. And it says, verse 9 says, and when he was at his last gasp, he said, thou, like a fury, takest us out of this present life, but the King of the world should raise us up, who have died for his laws unto everlasting life. Verse 10, after him was the third man a mocking stock. And when he was required, he put out his tongue and the right soon. It says, holding forth his hands manfully. Right, so he died manfully. He said, holding forth his hands manfully, and said courageously, these I have from Shamayim, and for the Torah I despise them, and from him I hope to receive them again. He said, when they cut off his hands, he had his hands on, they cut off his hand. He said, from these, he said, the very same debar that who made them, are going to give them back to me. And it says, verse 12 says, insomuch that the king and they that were with him marveled at the young man's courage, for that he nothing regarded the pains, right? Verse 13 says, now when this man was dead also, they tormented the mangled the fourth in the like manner. So that's the fourth pillar. They took out the fourth pillar. So when he was ready to die, he said thus, it is good, being put to death by men, to look for the hope from Elohim to be raised up again by him. As for thee, thou hast no resurrection of life. Right? He's literally talking to the man. He said, as for thee, thou hast no resurrection of life. Afterward, they brought the fifth also and mangled him. Then looked he upon the king and said, thou hast power over men, thou art corruptible, thou doest what thou wilt. Yet think not that our nation is forsaken. by Elohim? You think your nation, our nation, is forsaken by Elohim? But abide a while, and behold, his great power, how he will torment thee and thy seed. Verse 18, after him also they brought the sixth, that's the sixth pillar, to the mother. He taken out all the pillars, and that's to the mother. And guess what he says? Who being ready to die said, be not deceived without cause, for we suffer these things for ourselves, having sinned against our Elohim. Therefore marvelous things are upon us, because we did. But think not thou that takest in hand to strive against Elohim, that thou shalt escape unpunished. You think you're going to escape unpunished? But the mother was marvelous above all. Huh? She was marvelous above what? Above all of them. And worthy of honorable memory. Why? For when she saw her 7 sons slain within the space of one day, she bare with good courage because of the hope she had in Yahuwah. Yet she exhorted every one of them in her own language, filled with courageous spirit, and stirring up her womanish thoughts with a manly stomach. She said unto them, I cannot tell how you came into my womb, for I neither gave you breath, nor life. Neither was it that I formed the members of every one of you. Right? So this is the book of Ecclesiastes, Qahalath, Ecclesiastes chapter 11. Ecclesiastes chapter 11. I think it's verse. Ecclesiastes chapter 11. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, Qahalath chapter 11, in verse 3. If the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves on the earth. And if a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place whereof the tree falls, there will it lie. Right? So, and it says, he who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. He said, you're going to be so busy thinking about the clouds, being so busy thinking about observing these things, and guess what? Seeking out all the hidden things, you're going to be like, you ain't going to reap nothing. You ain't going to have no fruits to reap. Because you ain't going to be seeking first the Malkuth. Verse 5 says, as you do not know the way of the Ruach comes into the bones to the bones in the womb of a woman with child, so you do not know the works of Elohim who makes everything. Why he thinks she was speaking like a man? She said with a manly stomach, with her womanish thoughts, but with a manly stomach. That's both male and female. How he made Adam? And she said she was courageous above all. That's all 7 sons. How you say all 7 pillars. All 7 streams. Over all 7 streams. Matter of fact, over all the 7 celestial circles, over all the 7 stars in his right hand. He said, I'm over there. It was 7 virgins that astronaut had. He's like, I'm above all that. She was above all of it. Right? Going back to 2nd Esdras. 2nd Esdras, chapter 7. Going to verse 21, it says, yea, she exhorted every one of them in her own language, filled with courageous spirits, and stirring up her womanish thoughts with a manly stomach. And she said unto them, I cannot tell you how ye came into my womb, for neither gave you breath, neither I neither gave you breath or life, neither was I that formed the members of every one of you. But doubtless the creator of the world, who formed the generation of Adam, man, and found out the beginning of all things, will also with his own mercy give you breath and life again. And you now regard not your own lives for his law's sake. Right? So for his Torah's sake. And now Antiochus, thinking in himself despised and suspecting it to be a reproachful speech. He's like, I'm listening to what you say. Because she got a woman to stop, and she's like, hold up, you said something to me. You reproaching, you saying something about what I'm doing. While the youngest was yet alive, so the youngest was still alive. You get what it says? Did not I exhort him by words, but also assured him with oaths that he would make him both a rich and happy man if he would turn away from the Torah, the laws of his father? Because I told him to transgress the word, and you telling him to stay with the Lord. He said, turn from the Torah of his fathers, and that also he would take him for his friend and trust him with affairs. He said, I'll put you over all. You know what Satan did to Yahushua Mashiach in Matthew chapter 4? All you got to do is fall down and worship him. That's all you got to do. Verse 25 says, but when the young man would not, in no case, hearken unto me. Get what he said. He said, in no case, hearken to me, him. The king called his mother and exhorted her that she should counsel the young man to save his life. And when he had exhorted with her with many words, she promised him that she would counsel her son. So this is the book of Matthew. 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 Matthew chapter 27, Matthew 27 and 27 and 1. That's 27 and 10. And it says, and they gave him the part of his field, and it said, Yahuwah directed me. Verse 11 says, now when Yahushua stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, are you the king of the Malka Yahudim? Yahushua said, you have said so. But when he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave him no answer. Why do you think the young man, he said, man, when he perceived that the son wouldn't hearken to him, he said, if for some reason it seemed like your son ain't hearkening, listening to me. And he the youngest son that the woman was talking to. He the youngest son. And he wasn't listening to her. Listening to him. He said, didn't I straightly command him to transgress the commandment? But you know Yahushua's commandment was. He said, they devised evil against him and were quiet in the land. They do that. Why do you think I straightly command you to transgress the commandment? You think Yahushua was going to eat some flesh? Why would that young woman's son eat flesh? We think Yahushua was going to eat flesh. We just read, you already know that Yahuwah said, do I eat flesh? Of bulls and goats. Do I eat the flesh? I don't do that. If I were hungry, I wouldn't tell you. Why do you think Yahushua ain't answered another word? Why do you think the young man didn't answer the king another word when he tried to get him to eat? He lied. If I were hungry, I ain't telling you. But when he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, the leaders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate said to him, do you not hear how many things they testify against you? But he gave him no answer. I ain't got to answer you. Not even to a single charge. So that the governor was greatly amazed. Wasn't the king amazed at the young men, the 7 pillars, the 7 sons who died? He like, the one who took courage and let his hands get cut off? He was like, man, they were really amazed at his courage. He was like, what in the world is he doing? He said, Yahuwah gave the same word that created my hands, he give him in the next life. Right? Going back to 2 Maccabees chapter 7. Going back to 2 Maccabees chapter 7. Going to 2 Maccabees chapter 7, verse 25. It says, but when the young man would in no case hearken unto the king, he said, I ain't listening to you. He gave him no answer. He said, the king called his mother and exhorted her that she should counsel the young man to save his life. Counsel the young man to transgress the bar. Counsel the young man to go against the debar. And he said, and when he had exhorted her with many words, she promised him that she would counsel her son. He's like, okay. But she bound herself toward him, laughing the cruel tyrant to scorn. spake in her country's language on this matter. My son, oh my son, have pity upon me, that bear thee, he said, have pity upon me, that bear thee 9 months in the womb, my womb, and gave thee such 3 years, and nourished thee, and brought thee up unto this age, and endured the troubles of education. I beseech thee, my son, look upon Shamayim and earth, and all that is in therein, and consider that Yahuwah Elohim made them of the things that were not, and so was mankind made likewise. Fear not this tormentor, but being worthy of thy brethren, take thy death, that I may receive thee again in the mercy with thy brethren. While she was yet speaking these words, the young man said, woman, he said, whom, it says, woman, the man said, whom wait ye for? What you waiting for? I will not obey the king's commandment, but I will obey the commandment of the Torah that was given unto our fathers, Mashah. And thou that, he says, and thou that hast been the author of all mischief against the Abri, Hebrews, shall not escape the hands of Elohim, for we suffer because of our sins. And though the living Yahuwah be angry with us a little while for our chastening and correction, ye shall be at one again with his servants, right? Going to Matthew chapter 27. Matthew 27, 47. Going to Matthew 27, 45. 27:45. It says, now from the 6th hour, there was darkness over the land to the 9th hour. Like, how many hours is that? It's 3 hours. The woman told her son, he said, I had you he said, I bore you 9 months in my womb. And for 3 years, I nourished you. That's 3 hours. And guess what he said? Until the 9th hour, and about the 9th hour, Yahushua cried out with a loud voice, Aliyah, Aliyah, lama sabachthani, it is my Elohim, why hast thou forsaken me? Then the king said to the young man whom he slew, he said, their Elohim, he said, look at this, their Elohim has forsaken them. He said, why would Yahuwah Elohim forsake them? And he said, it's because of their sin. That's what the young man said to him. It's because of our sin that he has done this. And our little correction that we have, he's going to receive us in the next life. And get what it says. And some of the bystanders hearing it said, this man is calling for Aliyah. And one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with sour wine and put a reed and gave it him to drink. But the other said, wait, let's see whether Yahweh will come and save him. But Yahushua cried out with a loud voice again and yielded the Ruah. Right? So this Mark chapter 13, Mark chapter 15, Mark chapter 15, Mark chapter 15, I think it's Mark chapter 15. Chapter 15, 14. Yeah, Mark chapter 15 and verse 23. Mark chapter 15, verse 23. And they offered him wine, it says Mark chapter 15, verse 21. And they compelled the passerby, Simon Cyrene, who was coming in from the country, the father of Alexander and Rufus, to carry his cross. And they brought him to the place called Golgotha, which means a place of skull. And they offered him wine to drink with myrrh, but he did not take it. Why he didn't do it? He's like, I ain't doing that. When the king will offer them food to eat, what did the 7 pillars then do? The 7 sons didn't do? They didn't eat it. He said, we ain't going to transgress the Torah. Why do you think Yahushua think not I come to destroy the Torah or the law? I cannot come to destroy it. I can't fulfill it. Because if I eat this, I ain't going to fulfill what they said. I ain't going to fulfill 2 Maccabees chapter 7. And get what he says. And they crucified him and divided his garments among them. They divided his garments, casting lots for them, and decided what each should take. And it was the third hour when he was crucified. It was the third hour of the day. That's 3 hours. That's the third hour of the day. So the third hour to the ninth hour, that's 3 hours. 6th hour to the ninth hour, that's 3 hours. That's a total of 6. How many sons died? It was 6 sons that died. From the third to the ninth hour, that's 6 hours. There were 6 sons that died, and now the woman is talking to her only son. And it says, in the inscription of the charge against him read, the king of Malach the Yahudim. And with him they crucified the 2 robbers, one on the right and one on the left. And those who passed by the riding him wagging their heads, right? Right, here we go. So this is the book of because he the youngest, right? He the youngest. This is the book of Yochanan, chapter 19, verse 25. But standing by the cross of Yahushua were his mother and his mother's sisters. And guess what happened? Mary, wife Cleopas, and Mary Magdalene. And when Yahushua saw his mother, what was the young man at? He's like, I'm talking to your son. Compel your son to do what I say and save his life. He said, compel your son to save his life. And get what he said? And when Yahushua saw his mother and his disciples, whom he loved, standing nearby, he said to his mother, woman, behold your son. He said, what are you waiting for? Then when he told his mother, he said, mother, what are you waiting for? Whom are you waiting for? For Yahuwah punishing me. And when he corrected me, and for the little correction that I have, he's going to receive me into the eternal life. He's going to resurrect me. What are you waiting for? And he said to his mother, woman, behold your son. Then he said to the disciples, behold your mother. He said his mother was very courageous, above all. And yet what he says, and from that hour, the disciples took her to his home. Right, going back to 2 Maccabees chapter 7, finishing this up. We're going to finish and then they go right here. 2 Maccabees chapter 7. 2 Maccabees chapter 7. Verse 28. It says, I beseech thee, my son, look upon Shamayim and earth and all that is therein, and consider that Yahuwah Elohim made them of the things that were not. And so was mankind made like these. Fear not this tormentor, but being worthy of thy brethren, take thy death, that I may receive thee again in the mercy with thy brethren. While she was yet speaking these words, the young man said, whom wait ye for? What you waiting for? I will not obey the king's commandments, but I will obey the commandment of the Torah that was given to me, given unto our fathers Mashah. And thou, it says, and thou that hast been author of all mischief against our breed shall not escape the hands of Elohim. For we suffer because of our sins. And though the living Elohim be angry with us, while for our chastening and correction, yet shall he be one again with his servants. But thou, O godless man, unrighteous man, and all others, and of all other most wicked, be not lifted up without a cause, nor puffed up with uncertain hopes, lifting up your hands against the servant of Elohim. He said, you puffed up. For thou hast not yet escaped the judgment of the Almighty Elohim, whom seeth all things. For our brethren who now have suffered a short pain are dead under Yahuwah's covenant, Elohim's covenant of everlasting life. They're dead under his covenant, under everlasting life. But thou, through the judgment of Elohim, shall receive the punishment of thy pride. Because they died in righteousness, right? And get what it says. But I, as my brethren, offer up my body and life for the laws for our fathers, beseeching Elohim that he may speedily merciful unto our nation, that thou by torment and plagues mayest confess that he alone is Elohim. It says that in me and my brethren the wrath of the Almighty, which is justly brought upon our nation, may cease. That's the only reason he's doing it. You get what it says? Then it says, then the king, being enraged, handed him a worse than all the rest, and took it grievously that he was mocked. He said he took it grievously. So this man died undefiled and put his whole trust in Yahuwah. He died undefiled. Last of all, after the sons, the mother died. Right, so they're going back to Matthew. The mother died. Right, so this is the book of Matthew, chapter 20, verse 18. Matthew 20:18. It says, Matthew 28, see, we are going to Jerusalem, and the son of Adam will be delivered over to the chief priests and the scribes, and they will condemn him to death, and deliver him to the Goyim to be mocked. Who was the young man and the 7 sons delivered over to? The Goyim, the Gentiles. And get what he says? To be mocked and flogged and crucified. When they were mocking him, the 7 sons, the whole time when they were killing him. They cut off his hands. And it says, and he will be raised the 3rd day. He'll receive his eternal life. He will raise us back up. The same Elohim who took my hands by the bar, he's going to raise me back up by the bar. He'll give them right back to me. All right, so this is the book of Matthew 27 and 27, Matthew 27 through 27. Then the soldiers and the governors took Yahushua into the governor's headquarters, and they got the whole battalion before him, and they stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and twisting a crown of thorns, they put it on his head and a reed in his right hand, kneeling before him, and they mocked him, saying, Hail, Malach the Yahudim. And they spit on him and took the reed and struck him on the head. And when they mocked him, they stripped him of the robe and put on his own clothes on him and led him away to crucify him. He said, how you going to do that? He said, man, why did they build for Jonathan after they died? He said, my mother, I'm building 7 pyramids for my mother, for my fathers, for my mother, and my 4 brothers. And when they see these 7 pyramids, these 7, guess what? They're going to see it, and they're going to remember this thing when people sail by. Right, this is the book of Yeshayahu. He said he's going to sell it. Right, this is Yeshayahu chapter 7, Yeshayahu chapter 4, verse 1. Yeshayahu chapter 4, verse 1. It says, and 7 women, Nashim, shall take hold of one man in that day. How many women, how many sons were with the mother? 7. He said, 7 I'm going to take hold, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own clothes. We ain't eating your food. What they say? They said, we ain't eating none of that food. We ain't eating that. We going to wear our own clothes. We going to eat what Yahuwah commanded me to eat. I ain't eating that. And get what he says. Only let us be called by your name. Take away our reproach. He said, why would he do that? He said, only let us be called by your name. Why do you think they did all that? The 7 sons, why do you think they died? Because for Yahuwah's name's sake, they wanted to be called by his name. That's the only reason they didn't do it. Why do you think Yahushua wouldn't drink the sour wine? And they compelled him, and they put it to his mouth. He said, I'm not eating that. I'm not drinking that. Why do you think the sons wouldn't eat the swine? I'm not doing that. I'm going to keep the commandments of Yahuwah my Elohim. I'm not doing that. Right? He said, take my reproach. Take away our reproach. Right? So this is the book of, we almost finished. This is the book of Psalm 69. This is Psalm 69. This is Psalm 69. Psalm 69 and 6. Psalm 69 and 6. It says, let not those who hope in you be put to shame. Then the young son, the last son died. He said he died undefiled. And he put his whole trust in Yahuwah. They all put their trust in Yahuwah, even losing everything they had. And it says, let not those who hope in you be put to shame through me, O Yahuwah Elohim of hosts. Let not those who seek you be brought to dishonor through me, O Elohim of Yasharal. For it is for your sake that I have borne reproach. Why didn't they bore reproach? He said they took courage, all 7 of them. Yahuwah sent a snowstorm, and then the king came to kill Jonathan, and they made 7 pyramids after that. And they made it as a remembrance. And guess what it said? For those 7 pyramids, let not those who hope in you be put to shame through me, O Yahuwah Elohim. Let not those who seek you be brought to dishonor through me, O Elohim of Yasharal. For it is for your sake that I have borne reproach. He says 7 pillars. He says, we'll wear our own clothes, wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by your name and bear our reproach. It says that this honor has covered my face. Why do you think when you said, my Elohim, why hast thou forsaken me? They dishonor him. I have become a stranger to my brothers. Because you think them 7 brothers that died, you think they knew about Yahusha? They didn't know about that. You think the man who hewed out 7 pillars, as David said, you think they knew about Yahusha coming on the scene doing this? They didn't know about that. You think those 7 brothers who died, they didn't know. Asinah, they didn't know. But they died in a hope in something that they didn't knew was coming to pass, though. But for some reason, in this present time, one knows. He says, I have borne reproach, that this honor has covered my face. I have become a stranger to my brothers, and an alien to my mother's sons. They didn't understand it. They didn't understand what was happening to them. They didn't understand that they died. Why 7 sons had to die? Why 6 sons had to die and 1 had to still be alive? Because 6 hours he was on the totality, from the 3rd hour to the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour, Yahushua cried out and gave it the Ruach. He died. Why he did all that? Because I'm trying to show you. You didn't know this. It was stranger to my brothers and an alien to my mother's son. For the zeal of your house has consumed me, man. It took real courage, too. They got their hands cut off. They got beat down. They got showed up. They got sawed up. They had all many things happen to them. Man, the mother took more courage than all of them, too. And guess what happened? And the reproaches of those who reproach you have fallen on me. They've fallen on me. And get what it says. When I wept and humbled my soul with fasting, why do you think they wouldn't eat it? He said, they could have easily ate that swine, but they was fasting. They're like, we're not eating. I humbled my soul with fasting and became my reproach because I fasted from the king's meat and what he was trying to get me to do and everything, guess what? It became my reproach and they killed me. Because I wouldn't drink their sour wine. They killed me. Because I wouldn't transgress the commandment and come down from the totality, from the cross. They killed me. They mocked me. They accused me. Even my own mother, I said, what you waiting on? I said, behold your mother. It says, when I made sackcloth my clothing, I became a byword to them. Let us wear our own clothes. Only let us be called by your name. Get what it says. I am the talk of those who sit at the gate, and drunkards make songs about me. But as for me, my prayers to you, O Yahuwah, at acceptable time, O Elohim, in abundance of your steadfast love, answering me in the saving faithfulness. Why do you think he said, let not steadfast love and faithfulness forsake you? Why do you think they didn't do that? They were on totality. They were all pressured, but they wouldn't do it. But then you see a greater than those 7 brothers are here now. A greater than that mother is here now. A greater than those who hewn out 7 pillars are here now. A greater number. Right, so this is the book of, going back to Matthew. Going to Yuchanan, actually going to John chapter 18. John chapter 18, verse 1. John chapter 18, Actually, John chapter 18. What was it, 18 or 19? Yeah. John chapter 19, verse 28. Yuchanan chapter 19, verse 28. And it says, After this, Yahusha, knowing all that was finished, said, to fulfill the scripture, I thirst. A jar of sour wine stood there. So they put a sponge full of sour wine in hyssop branch and held it to his mouth. And when Yahusha had received the sour wine, he said, it is finished. And he ate the swine. He said, I died. What happened to the young man? He said, man, he died fully, undefiled, trusting Yahuwah. He said, I ain't eating that. Yahusha like, I'm not eating that. I'm not eating that swine. He said, I ain't doing it. He died undefiled. Why do you think Yahushua was separate from everybody? It says, it is finished. And he bowed his head and gave it the Ruach. He gave of his spirit. But again, guess what happened after that? And since it was a day of preparation, and so that the bodies would not remain on the cross, the Shabbat day, a hot day, the Yahudim sick Pilate, that their legs might be broken, and that they might be taken away. So the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first and of the other who had been crucified with him. But when they came to Yahusha, they saw that he was dead already. They did not break his legs. But one of the soldiers pierced his side with a spear, and out came blood and water. What comes out of a woman when you have a child? Blood and water. And who finally died at the end of all of this? He said, at the end of all this, he said the mother died. The mother died. He said the mother died. And guess what it says? And he who saw it bore witness, and his testimony is true. And knowing that he is telling the truth, that you may believe. He said his mother died. And when a mother has a child, after 9 months, she's at a point of death. He's like, I nourished you these 3 hours. That's 9 months. He said her mother died. All right, going back to 2 Maccabees chapter 2. 2 Maccabees. All right, so 2 Maccabees chapter 7. Going to last 7:39. It says, Then the king was being enraged, handed him worse than all the rest, and took it grievously that he was mocked. So this man died undefiled and put his whole trust in Yahuwah. Last of all, after the sons, the mother died. Let this be enough now to have spoken concerning the idolatrous feast and extreme tortures. So what do you think they were having when they killed Yahushua? He said, behold, the Lamb of Yahuwah took away the sin. What do you think they were doing? They were torturing him. And then what did they do? Well, they were having an idolatrous feast. They were having an idolatrous feast. And they didn't even know it. They didn't even know it. They didn't even know it. But this is all for a reason. Right? So this is the book of Thomas. This is the book of Yuchanan. This is the book of Yuchanan. This is the book of Yuchanan. The book of Yuchanan. This book of Yuchanan, chapter 20, verse 26. 8 days later, his disciples were inside again, and Thomas was with him. Although the doors were locked, Yahusha came and stood among them and said, like a spirit or a perfect morph in a room, and said, peace, shalom be with you. Then he said to Thomas, put your finger in my side and see my hands. He's like, see my hands. What did one of the 7 brothers say? He's like, when they cut his hands off, he said, Yahuwah by his word, they cut my hand off. But by his word, he's going to give it right back to me. He said, they don't give my hands back. And he said, he put his finger here and see my hands, and put out your hand and place it in my side, and do not disbelieve, but believe. Thomas said, answer him, my master, my Elohim. He said, he's going to resurrect me again. He's going to bring me back to life again. As the seven brothers said, they're going to bring me back to life again. Elohim said to him, have you believed because you have seen? Barak are those who have not seen. We didn't see all those tortures. We didn't see all the woman who was great above all. We didn't see it, but she said she was above all. And guess what happens? He said, but you believe though. Right, so this is the book of, this is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11. Hebrews chapter 11. Chapter 11, verse 1. I'll read 11 and 1. Now, Amunah, belief, is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Why would they think they were convicted? Yahushua didn't come on the scene, but yet they still held to the things that were going to testify about Yahushua. Again, what it says, for by it the people of old received their condemnation. By Amunah, we understand that the universe was created by the word of Yahuwah, so that what is seen was not made out of things that are visible. By Amunah, Abel offered to Elohim a more acceptable sacrifice than Cain, through which they were commended as righteous, or Sadak. Elohim commending him by accepting his gifts. And through his Amunah, though he died, he still speaks. Though he died, he still speaks. Though those seven brothers died, what happened to them still speaks. Though Jonathan died and he built 7 pyramids in remembrance of his mothers, his fathers, and his 4 brothers, it still speaks. Though Yaakov built a pillar for the falling of the sun, and he said, this is the house of Yahuwah, setting a mark, he said, it still speaks. 7 women taking hold of 1 man still speaks today. And guess what it says? By Amunah, Hanuk was taken up so that he should not see death. We just read about Enoch. Hanuk saw the torments of those who didn't walk in righteousness. Do you want to be there? And he said no. Hanuk by Amunah was taken up that he should not see death, and he was not found because Elohim had taken him. Now therefore he was taken, he was commended as having pleasing Elohim. And without Amunah it is impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to Elohim must believe that he exists, and that he is rewarded them that diligently seek him. Then one of the 7 brothers said, he said, I know Yahuwah exists. We read that in recognition of Clement. He said, we see everything he created. He exists. Now I just got to inquire about righteousness and the kingdom. We know he exists. And then people say, he don't exist. I said, man, just go outside. You ain't been outside yet. You've been in front of the video game screen all day, huh? That's the only reason you don't believe it no more. And it said right here, and without Amunah, it is impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to Elohim must believe that he exists, and that he's a reward of those who diligently seek him. Who seek him. Seek Yahuwah while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Why didn't they were calling upon him? Well, I'm going to call upon your God who's trying to kill me. That makes absolutely no sense. Why didn't them brothers are like, for what? You already getting ready to kill me. Why I'm going to sit here and compromise? By Amunah, Nuach was warned of Elohim concerning the events that were unseen. In reverent fear, constructed an ark in saving of his household. Right, so skipping down. It says right here, going to verse 11. By Amunah, Sarah herself received power to conceive, even when she was past age, since he considered him faithful who had promised. Therefore, from one man and him as good as dead were born descendants. as many as the stars of Shamayim, Shall I, your mother, and your brother bow down and worship you? Why do you think he made 7 pillars, 7 pyramids? We're talking about the constellations and the stars. Why do you think he made 7 pyramids as a Jonathan done? He made a pyramid to the stars. He was showing y'all, we the stars. He said the 7 pillars in the city of refuge, right? The 7 channels. The $7. And it still speaks today. It says, and were born descendants as many as the stars of Shamayim, and as many as the innumerable grains of the sand of the seashore. These all died in Amunah, having not received the things promised, but having seen them and greeted them from afar, and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. For people who speak thus make it clear that they are seeking a homeland. And if they had been thinking of the land which they had gone out, they would not have opportunity to return. But as it is, they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly one. The tabernacle of Yahuwah was with Elohim. He said, I'm gonna be in life eternal. I'm gonna die in this hope. But guess what? It says a heavenly one. Therefore, Elohim is not ashamed to be called their Elohim. That's why he said he will be our Elohim, and we'll be his sons. Why then they wouldn't do it? He prepared for them a city, Jerusalem, whose gates, who prepared the finest wheat, who got the finest, he said, rain and snow, who sing praises, bars are tight, who got guards all around them. The renewed earth. It says, but by Amunah, Abraham, when he was tested, offered up Yitzhak, right? Right, so here we go. Going down to the last part. Verse 82. And what more shall I say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon, Barak, Shemshun, Jephthah, Daud, Shemuel, the Nabi'im, and those, and through Amunah, conquered kingdoms, enforced justice, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the power of fiery fire, escaped the edge of the sword, were made strong out of weakness, became mighty in war, and put foreign armies to flight. Women received back their dead by resurrection. Some were tortured. So who are you talking about? Refusing to accept release, so that they might rise again to a better life. So you telling me, oh yeah, Maccabees. Why do you think Yahushua, when he wanted to resurrect to a better life? Others suffered mockings and floggings, didn't they? And even chains and imprisonments. They were stoned, were sawn in two. He got his hands cut off. They were killed with the sword. They went out about in sheepskins and goatskins, and destitute, afflicted, and mistreated, of whom the world was not worthy, wandering about in deserts and mountains, and in dens and in caves of the earth. All these, though commended through their Amunah, did not receive the promise. What was promised? They didn't receive what was promised yet. But they had Amunah to do it. The same thing Qahalath like, man, we left all to follow thee. He said, what we gonna get? Hold up now. Hold up, you talking all this stuff, and you talking about this Malkuth, this kingdom. Hold up, what we gonna get? And he says right here, since Elohim has provided something better for us, that apart from us, they should not be made perfect. What do you mean they should not be made perfect? Apart from us. People saying, how are they not going to be made perfect? Going back to 1 Ezra, he said, how are they going to be made perfect? We almost finished. Last 3 things. And it says right here, it's 1 Ezra chapter 13, verse 28. 1 Ezra chapter 13, verse 28. 1 Ezra chapter 13, sorry. 1 Ezra chapter 13, First Esdras, or actually First Maccabees, I'm sorry. First Maccabees, chapter 13, verse 28. First Maccabees, chapter 13, verse 28. Chapter 13, verse 28. It says, verse 26. And all Yashar made great lamentation for him and bewailed him many days. Simon also built a monument upon the scepter of his fathers and his brethren, and raised it aloof in the sight with hewn stone behind and before. Moreover, he set up 7 pyramids, one against the other, another, for his father and for his mother and for his 4 brethren. And in these he made cunning devices, about the which he set great pillars, and upon the pillars he made all their armor for a perpetual memory, and by the armor ships carved, that they might be seen by all that sail on the sea. This is the scepter which he made in Modin, and it standeth yet unto this day. He said, so why are you giving out seven pillars, 7 pyramids? He said, why would he do that? Right. So this is the book of Nazarene, Acts of the Nazarene, Gospel of the Nazarenes, or Truth of the Nazarenes. Truth of the Nazarenes, chapter 68, verse 1. Chapter 68, verse 1. And Yahushua said, hear and understand the parable. There was a certain householder which planted a vineyard, and hedged it round about, and dug a winepress in it, and built a tower, and let it out to the husbandman, and went into a far country. And when the time of the ripe fruits drew near, he set up his servants to the husbandman, that they might receive the fruits of it. We talked about renewed earth. He said in 2nd Enoch, how all the mountains are going to be bearing fruit, and all these fruit-bearing trees and grasses are going to be on there in the renewed earth. And he says, and the husbandman took his servants and beat one, and stoned the other, and killed the other. He said, man, he said, I'm trying to show you all these things, and they killed him. And again, he sent other servants, more honorable than the first, that they did not, and did to them likewise. But last of all, he sent to them his son, saying, they will revere my son. They got to do that. They got to revere my son. But when the husbandmen saw, the farmers saw the son, they said among themselves, this is the heir. Come, let us kill him. Because they see that, okay, this person ain't like all the other farmers. But we farmers, we live this thing. We live this thing, exactly. We live this thing. We live it exactly like he says. It says, let us seize his inheritance, and they caught him and cast him out of the vineyard and slew him. And it says, and when the master of the vineyard comes, what will he do to those husbandmen? They said to him, he will miserably destroy those wicked men, and will let out his vineyard to other farmers, which shall render him fruits in their season. He said fruits, yes. Love, Ahal, joy, simcha, peace, shalom, patience, arak, kindness, kasad, goodness, ta'ud, faithfulness, amunah, gentleness, anua, and self-control. 9. What did the mother say? She said, I bore you for 9 months, and I nourished you for 3 years. After 9 months, I bore you. I created you in the fruits of the Ruach, and I nourished you for 3 years. And guess what happened? And guess what he said? And fruits in season. Yahushua said to them, have you never read the scriptures? What happened? The stone which the builders rejected, what did they do? The same has become the capstone of the pyramid. Why do you think he built 7 of them? What do you think at the top of it? This is for my mothers, the fathers who died in righteousness. This is for the mothers who died in righteousness, and my 4 brothers. Because they without us can't be made perfect. Because that's the top of the pyramid. Because they didn't know what those 7 pillars, those 7 pyramids even represented. He said, why would he put the capstone of the pyramid on top of 7 pyramids? And it says right here, this is Yahuwah's doing, and is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore, I say to you, the kingdom shall be taken away from you and given to a people, bringing forth fruits thereof. And whoever shall fall on this stone, you're going to fall on the abin, you know that pillar that Yaakov set up? That abin that fall in the sun, that stone, he said, this is the pillar. He said, it's the house. And he said, you're going to fall on this stone, shall be broken. But on whomsoever it shall fall, it shall ground him to powder. He said, it shall grind him to powder. Right? So this is the Ode Shaloma. Odes of Solomon. Odes of Solomon. Odes of Solomon. We finish this. Odes of Solomon. Odes of Solomon. Odes of Solomon. Odes of Solomon, chapter 8. Odes of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 10. It says, seek and increase and abide in the love of Yahuwah, for this is the love of Yahuwah, that you keep his commandments, right? And ye who are loved in the beloved, and you who are kept in him who lives, and you who are saved in him who was saved. Saved in him who was saved. He said, but all that immerse in Yahushua have put on Yahushua into his body. You are saved in him, Mashiach, who was saved. And get what he said. And ye shall be found incorrupted in all ages. He said, you die undefiled. On the account of the name of your Father, for his name's sake. For his name. Right? Going to ODE 9. Actually, going to ODE 11. ODE 12. ODE 12 and 1. It says, he has filled me with the words of truth, that I may proclaim him. And like flowing waters, truth flows from my mouth, and my lips declare his fruits. Because he's going to take away, he said, I'm going to take the king away from you and give it to some farmers who bearing his fruits, and they're going to produce more fruit, and more seed, and more love, and more joy, and more peace, and more patience, and more kindness, and more goodness, and more faithfulness, and more gentleness, and more self-control. They're going to produce more and more. They're going to produce inside of people. And guess what it says? And he has caused his knowledge to abound in me. Because there's a lot more. But he says, seek ye first. The recognition Clement says, seek ye first the kingdom. Everything else will be added to you. This is added. This is addition. This is basic math. And he says, knowledge to abound in me. Because the mouth of Yahuwah is the true word, and the door of his light. The door, the dollar of his light. Why do you think he had he said, I'm going to put the capstone of the pyramid. He said, this is the capstone, this is the top of the pyramid. It's the dollar, the gateway, the doorway, the passageway, the entranceway, the portal. Because the entranceway has been ministered unto you abundantly. And it says, and the Most High has given him to his generations, which are the interpreters of his beauty, the narrators of his glory, his kabod. He said, why are these, Enoch say, second Enoch say, why are these people in here? This torment. He said, these people ain't give glory, kabod to Yahuwah. He said, that's the only reason they're here. That's how he gives glory to Yahuwah, by your behavior and what you say and what you do. It says, the narrators of his glory, his kabod, the confessors of his thought, the preachers of his mind, the teachers of his works. For the subtlety of the word is inexpressible, it's infinite. And like the expression, so also is the swiftness of his acuteness. For limitless is his path. He never falls, but remains standing. But one cannot know the descent of his way. For as his work is, so is his expectation. For he is the light and the dawning of thought. Verse 8 says, and by him the generation spoke to one another, and those that were silent acquired speech. He said, what? He said, those that were silent, they acquired speech. And get what it says. And from him came love, kindness, love, joy. That's the first one. From him came love and harmony. And they spoke one with another whatever was theirs. And they were stimulated by the bar, the word, and knew him who made them. He said they were stimulated. And became, it says, and because they were in harmony. For the mouth of the Most High Yahuwah spoke to them, and his exposition was swift through him. For the dwelling place of the word is man. Adam. You get what it says? And his truth is love. His truth is love. For thy righteousness is righteous forever. Now Torah is the truth. For his truth is love. His Torah is love. Baraka are those who by means of him have recognized everything and have known Yahuwah in his truth. So we look at all that. We look at the knowledge of Yahushua Mashiach. We look at Yahushua Mashiach and his love and his compassion. We look at Jerusalem. We look at the 12 rays of the sun. We look at Jerusalem himself. I saw a woman clothed with the sun. And seeing that woman clothed with the sun, we know that there's 12 gates, 3 to the north, 3 to the south, and 3 to the east, and 3 to the west. And all those who enter into the city, will enter in through through the 7 channels, and come in through sandals. And he will gather you from all the 4 winds of the 4 corners of the earth. And guess what's going to happen? He's going to make you undefiled. And those 7 celestial circles that, brings about the washing of water, those 7 celestial circles, those 7 pyramids, those 7 doors, with the capstone of the pyramid on top, understanding they can't be made perfect without Yahushua Mashiach on the top. Knowing that these things are true. And that even the torments that were even tormented, those who were tormented, and all the things they didn't understand. Knowing that they could not understand it at that time. But at the appointed time, Yahushua Mashiach came to extend his hand to his bride. To bring them back to the knowledge of the Yahushua Mashiach and to the higher self of who one is. Through the sound vibrational frequency that's for the higher nature of who we are, and to bring one back in the understanding of who one is. For is it not written in your Torah, I said you are Elohim, you are a God, and if I called you an Elohim, on whom the word of Yahuwah came, you can't change it. You can't change the Torah. You can't even change what is written, whether in English, whether you read it in Hebrew, Latin, Greek, or English. You can't change what's written. For Yahuwah inspires all words and all people to write as he sees that he wants to write, either to your deception or to your salvation. But we look at ourselves, we look at our own being, we look at who we are. And we look at all the people who came before and suffered many things. We even look at those who were revealed mysteries, even as Asenath, even as Meshach, even as those who were revealed more mysteries, and even to come, even with the knowledge that's getting ready to come, even more. For when men shall go to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased in the world. And as knowledge and binah hakmah da'ath be increased in the world, men will seek out to try to find their way to the kingdom. Because they're going to, in order to get to the Malkuth, you can seek out all the hidden things and the things in the earth, but the only way to get to the Malkuth, he said, you got to come through righteousness. You got to acquire the righteousness in the kingdom. And you got to seek that first before you find out all the other hidden things of the world. Because if you don't have that firm foundation, as the testimony of Yahushua Mashiach and the commandments as your firm hold, then you'll see all these other things that you're seeking out will deceive your life. But we look at ourselves, and he said he's going to beautify the meek with salvation. He's going to beautify the humble with salvation. All right, so I'm going to read this. This is the book of Sirach. This is the book of Sirach. It's the book of Sirach. The book of Sirach, chapter 3. The book of Sirach, chapter 3. The book of Sirach, chapter 3, verse 12. It says, "My son, help thy father in this age, and grieve him not as long as he liveth. And if his understanding fail, have patience with him, and despise him not when thou art in thy full strength. Right? For the relieving of thy father shall not be forgotten, and instead of sins, it shall be added to build thee up. In the day of thine affliction, it shall be remembered. Thy sins also shall melt away, as the ice in the fair warm weather," because nobody can hide from the heat. When he sends the bar, it melts it. Verse 16 says, "He that forsaketh his father is a blasphemer, and he that angereth his mother is cursed." Why do you think he said that? Why do you think he built 7 pillars? 7 pyramids for his believing fathers, his believing mothers, and his believing 4 brothers. Why do you think he did that? He said, those believing, I say believing, talking about those who keep the Torah. And guess what happens? And it says right here, it says, "He that forsaketh his father is a blasphemer, and he that angereth his mother is cursed of Elohim. My son, do not forget the commandment of your father and teaching your mother." Who's your father and your mother? Yahuwah Elohim. "I am your father and your mother." He said, why do you think he said my mother died finally at the end? After all that, my mother died. Why do you think his mother died after those 7 sons died? But the one thing that family did not do, they did not forsake the commandments that their father taught them. Even the mother and the 7 sons. And you'd be like, what type of father taught those sons and that mother? Oh, it was a good father too. A good husband who taught their father, those people. He taught them real good for them to have that much courage. And it says right here, and it says, "For the relieving of your father shall not be forgotten, and instead of sins, it shall be added to build thee up. In the day of thine affliction, it shall be remembered. Thy sins also shall melt away, as the ice in the fair warm weather. And he that forsaketh his father is a blasphemer, and he that angereth his mother is cursed of Elohim. My son, go on with thy business in meekness." Huh? Go on with your business in meekness. Why do you think Yahushua said, "I got to be with my father's business"? There's a reason why he said, "I got to be with my father's business." "So shalt thou be beloved of him that is approved." Beloved of the world? I'm going to be beloved of him that is approved. Who was the only person that was approved? Yahushua Mashiach. That's the only person. Verse 18 says, "The greater thou art, the more humble thyself. And thou shalt find favor before Yahuwah." You find favor. The more greater you become, the more humble you have to become. "Many are in high places and renowned." There are many kings, rulers, celebrities, people who have a lot of knowledge, wise people, many people who have many things in this earth that give them a lot of praise and things in this world. But he said, just like David said, I'm low and despised, but I don't forget your precepts, though. And he said, "The greater thou art, the more humble thyself," because you're going to beautify the humble with salvation. "And thou shalt find favor before Yahuwah. Many are in high places and of renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the meek." They're revealed unto the meek, right? "For the meek shall inherit the earth, the renewed earth," as 2 Enoch says. "For the meek shall inherit the earth."